I'm fine. This is my podcast, and it does spoilers for Beverly Hills Cop. Get the fuck out! I can't. It's very serious. This is Diabolical, the show where four long-suffering friends dissect films' most dastardly schemes, then compete to improve them. I'm your host, Craig, and this week's movie is 1984's fish-out-of-water action comedy with a little lemon twist, Beverly Hills Cop. So, Peril Pals, order a late supper, shove a banana up your tailpipe, and let's get diabolical. Welcome to this week's episode. As host for this week, I'm the drug lord crime boss and chief curator of the Panel of Peril. In a moment, I'll welcome the rest of the panel, who will compete against me at the close of the show in a bid to become Beverly Hills' most prolific collector of art and cocaine, as we each try to come up with the best alternative plan for the movie villain of the week before we vote to name this week's most diabolical. As ever, I'm joined by three strip club stick-up men. Please, introduce yourselves and tell me, have you ever felt like a fish out of water? Let's start with Ben.
Hi, Ben here. This was quite a tricky question. I had to really think about it. I don't often feel like a fish out of water. I'm not a kind of person. I just get on with things and see where it takes me.
Bollocks.
But the one time I really perhaps felt...
The only people who go with the flow are dead fish men and turds.
I don't go with the flow necessarily, but I assess the situation and do the best I can in that situation. I don't really think, oh, I've out on my debt farm. I feel like an imposter.
Went with you first because at a fairly young age you moved to a non-English speaking country, and I thought that would be your fish out of water story.
Yeah, I didn't feel like that at all. I felt like this is an adventure. I just went and wild, you know.
Buck wild.
But then I really thought about it, and the first Japanese funeral I went to, I thought, oh shit, I'm through the looking glass here. Because in Japan, you have to be cremated by law. And the tradition is, once you get the ashes back, you're there when they bring them out, and you see like the bone that hasn't fully burned,
God. Right.
that hasn't been crushed,
Wow.
right?
Okay.
And you pass them down the line, chopstick to chopstick.
Well,
Which is why in Japan you never pass food chopstick to chopstick,
Mm.
because they do it with these ashes. And people are commenting on the bones and saying, "Oh, that's a good size. Oh, yeah, they had good bones, didn't they?" And I felt really nervous in case I was the one that dropped it. I was the only white guy
Yeah.
there anyway. I
Yeah.
thought, if I drop this, I'm going to look like a right dickhead. So that's probably the only time I felt a little bit out of my depth, but I managed it anyway.
All right.
Well done.
Well, let's hear next from the best, and the best.
Hello, the best here. And a time that I felt like a fish out of water was, let's say, over 20 years ago when
You lost your virginity.
when our oven broke in my father's home during the course of making a Sunday roast. No, it wasn't the oven, sorry, it was the microwave. The microwave broke, which is how the lamb shanks were going to be cooked. You know, those microwavable in the bag lamb shanks. So I went a couple of doors down to a neighbour's house that we always got along well with my dish with the lamb shanks in ready, just to bung in the microwave for 5 minutes. Only to find that they'd moved out some time ago and there was an entire non-white family there who I didn't know the names of anybody, never met before. But they were very nice. They invited me in, let me use their microwave, had a chat with me. But because I didn't know them, it was so awkward. Just like, can I use your microwave, please? Just standing there watching the timer, making small talk. Okay, they're ready. Thanks. See ya.
Have you ever been back?
No. Never go back.
Well, if on the off chance they're listening, they know how grateful you are. So that's something.
Indeed.
All right, well, Turner, by default, you're next.
Yes, indeed. Adam here. The one that stands out most in my mind was when I was part of a punk quartet, and we were booked to play a gig in Birkenhead, an all-dayer with lots of bands. So we just turned up, and we thought, there's something odd here. And basically, we were a punk band, but they booked us to play a metal all-dayer. So we started playing this really fast hardcore punk, and after every song, just no reaction at all. Just people just milling around, no claps, no boos, no cheers. And it was one of the most uncomfortable moments of my life, and it was something we all spoke about frequently after that as well, saying, "Oh, do you remember that time we went to a metal all day and they booked us and we were somebody got us on and we don't know why the fuck they booked us." So yeah, that was pretty uncomfortable.
As for me, on Millennium Eve, I went with some friends to an event at Cream on Liverpool Docks that began as a series of sets by rock bands and then continued into an all-night dance party after the midnight countdown. So at one point, I got separated from my friends and I was just dancing on my own, sort of minding my own business. And a girl came up to me who was clearly like a clubber and she asked me if I was all right. At which point, I felt like Mark Corrigan dancing at Nancy's dance class, letting loose.
Yeah, Rainbow Rhythms.
What must I have looked like to be asked if I was all right? Now, as we're in our 5th season, I thought it would be a great time to try out a new segment, which I'm calling Beverly Hills Flop. According to producer Don Simpson, when it came to one of the stars who was previously attached prior to Eddie Murphy, he had to take an unusual action to get him off the project. I'll share 3 apocryphal tales relating to actors considered for the role of Axel Foley, 2 of which will be fake and 1 real. And all you need to do is spot the real one.
Doesn't apocryphal mean made up?
No, it means it's not necessarily true.
Okay.
But Don Simpson says it is. So.
It's validity.
I see.
Simpson and the star in question had a shared interest in youth treatments, and Don used his considerable sway to get this actor to the top of the waiting list for a radical new surgery. So who was it, and what was the treatment for? Was it number 1? Did Mickey Rourke allegedly get to the top of the list for experimental laser-apso hormone injections to permanently relax his wavy hair? Is it number 2? Did Sylvester Stallone allegedly get to the top of the list for experimental sheep hormone injections to permanently increase his tumescence? Or is it number 3? Did Richard Gere allegedly get to the top of the list for experimental baboon hormone injections to permanently relax his anus? Is that 1, 2, or 3? And this time you're looking for the real one, not the fake.
So we've got to find the fake one, and the other 2 are real.
No, 2 are fake, 1's real.
Okay, because we're in our 5th season now, and I just need to make sure we get the rules right.
Yeah, exactly. Don't want to look like a bunch of amateurs.
It's got to be Mickey Rourke in it.
I'm sure I read that Sly was near the top of the casting list, if not cast at some point for this.
But they all were.
Oh, they all were.
That's the common denominator.
I'm still going to go with Sly.
Okay. All 3 of them were in the running for the role. The thing is, one of them, Don Simpson wanted off the project and he wouldn't leave. So to get him off the project, he got him to the top of the list for this treatment. So Gaz is saying Sylvester Stallone. The best is saying Sylvester Stallone wanted to have the same brilliant rock hard erections that the best has as a real man that he is.
Like a fucking broom handle.
Broom handle Mazda.
Don Tootin is what he calls it when he's in action.
The best. What do you imagine when you imagine Sylvester Stallone's tumescence?
It's big, isn't it?
I imagine like a large New York slice of pizza. You know, the really big ones.
Like dripping with cheese.
That shape as well. Like a
wide at the bottom and narrow at
wedge
the top.
shape. Yeah. Tapers at the top.
I'd say it's more like a calzone.
Okay, so the best has gone for Sylvester Stallone and experimental sheep hormones to increase Sly's tumescence. What's Ben going for?
Mickey Rourke
To have experimental laser-apso treatments to permanently relax his wavy hair. And what about Adam Turner?
I'll just go for Richard Gere just to round it all out. Just
Baboon injections to permanently relax his anus.
Yeah.
Nothing worse than a tight anus.
Let me winks.
Yeah, that's it. Let me winks. Yeah, Ronald.
Well, I can tell you the correct answer was identified by the best. Stallone wouldn't leave Beverly Hills Cop until he got whiff that he was allowed to go and get injections in his penis to make it stiffer. So according to Dom Simpson, I don't know that for a fact, and
I think he just didn't like him very much.
and that's why he told that story. Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Noted loon Don Simpson.
Also in the running for the lead role were both Billy Crystal and Michael Keaton. So if the universe implodes,
What could have been?
yeah, they could have both been in it. Like when you cast a baby in a sitcom and it has to be two babies because of labour laws. Time now to delve into this week's film, Beverly Hills Cop. Originally conceived as a straight action movie by legendary producers and execs Simpson, Bruckheimer, and Michael Eisner, whose own personal experience informed the themes of class and social prejudice, many of the elements of early drafts of Beverly Hills Cop would later be reused by Sly Stallone in his 1986 pizza-scissoring cult favourite Cobra. As a vehicle for edgy stand-up and SNL breakout star Eddie Murphy, the film led into the more comedic drafts from screenwriter Daniel Petrie Jr. and allowed Murphy and co-stars like Bronson Pinchot to flex their improv skills, expanding on the fish-out-of-water concept by poking fun at 80s elitist struggles to reconcile racial disparity and creating some of the most memorably hilarious scenes of 80s cinema. Director Martin Brest makes Murphy look like a bona fide action hero from the outset and allows his star to shine both in scenes of light comic relief and more serious moments of tension and intrigue. Axel Foley remains, in my eyes, Murphy's tour de force, an enduringly appealing character whose mix of warmth, humility and intellect, all conveyed with utter authenticity and conviction by Murphy, combine to make for a magnetic and relatable lead around which the fairly hollow plot can comfortably gravitate, and making Beverly Hills Cop feel much greater than the considerable sum of its parts. But what does the panel of peril make of it? And I'd like to hear first from Adam.
Well, I'm very glad Sly Stallone didn't get his way and turn this film into what he wanted to turn it into.
Cobra.
Yeah, exactly. I think we'd all be a lot poorer because of it. Who knows what would have happened to Eddie Murphy? I would have thought he probably would have found his breakout role anyway because he's too much of a personality. But what really stunned me about this film is he was 23 when he starred in this, and for him to come out of the traps and produce a performance like that and just steal pretty much every single scene, maybe the surge scenes, that he's toe to toe. But as well, like you say, there's so many things to like about this film. I really enjoy it. It's one of those films I return to semi regularly, but I do prefer Beverly Hills Cop 2 because I think Inspector Todd and Paul Reiser, Rosewood and Taggart get bigger, meatier roles. Yeah, and it's just they play into that, and it's great, and Eddie Murphy gets even more. But this, we couldn't have that without this film, and it hits all the right notes for me. Lots of good action, loads of great one-liners, some daft characters. But it's fantastic. And then obviously, I'd say the biggest thing that hits you straight in the face is the soundtrack straight away from the Heat Is On. Glenn Frey. I've just been singing that. I've added it to my massive playlist that I've continued to add songs to. It's just a great song.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it?
And I'm sure it's Harold
Pinter,
the guy who wrote Axel F. I'm sure he's still counting the cash coming in from Crazy Frog to this day.
The iconic Crazy Frog thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Neutron Dance, also brilliant.
There's loads.
But while you're on Heat Is On, that opening, I think that is tremendous. great song, and then it sets the scene, sets the world up for you.
Yep.
No
Mm.
pissing about. Yeah, really, really well done.
Yeah.
Well, as you've stepped up, carry on.
Yeah, well, I had a lot of fun with it too. I think you mentioned it in your intro there. The story is not exceptional, but it is elevated to cult status by
Yeah.
Murphy's charisma. And it's an outstanding performance, really. I think he nails the comedic moments, and again, I think you touched on it, but it's the heart and the serious moments, particularly with Stephen Berkoff's villain, that ground Axel Foley and really make you root for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, the supporting cast is excellent as well, with a very special mention for Jonathan Banks, who I think has the scariest stare in Hollywood.
Yeah. If anything, it's got scarier over the years.
Yeah, the guy's terrifying. Yeah, so overall, I give it, if you're looking for action and comedy, Beverly Hills Cop is one of the 80s finest examples. And that, my friends, is out of 5.
Out of 5.
Delicious.
That's what we're always waiting for every week. What's it going to be out of? All right, well, the best. Do you agree? Does Beverly Hills Cop hold the same place in your esteem?
No, not at all. Not at all. It was a real slog for me to get through this one, I'm afraid.
Wow.
3 sittings it took me, giving up and resuming.
Wow.
There's nothing in it for me. Basically everything that the first 2 panel members have said that they enjoyed did nothing for me.
Wow.
I don't care for the music. Eddie Murphy's good. I don't like Tickleberry and Arsewood. I like the guy from RoboCop as Lieutenant Bergamot.
Ronnie Cox. Yeah.
Bergamot.
But yeah, I don't think I did an LOL once, which surprised me because I remember, like Craig alluded to last week, watching it with my brother quite a lot. It was one of his favourite films.
Mm.
One of his party pieces was playing Axel F on the Yamaha keyboard, and I remember enjoying it back then. So I don't know, maybe it caught me in the wrong mood.
Yeah.
But yeah, on this watch, it really didn't do anything for me, I'm afraid.
Wow. Yeah, no, I find that surprising because even if you're not kind of enjoying the action, I think the comedy is so dead on.
Did you not even lol at the surge bits?
No.
Oh my god!
He's talking about the espresso with the lemon twist.
Yeah.
No, don't be stupid. Okay, well, fair enough. Yeah, maybe it was a mood thing. It often is. But yeah, for me, same thing. It's one of my brother's favourites, if not his very favourite. And almost every time I see him now, we end up watching it and kind of laughing into the small hours. You get all the same bits as last time.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the kind of generosity of the character with the other characters that are in it, because he could be a dick to everybody, and that could be the whole character. But he's super smart. He shows them all how to do their job, but not in like a condescending way. He wants them to be better at it, and that is kind of the appeal of the character to me. But yeah, largely I watch this because I just find it hilarious and I laugh every time. I think Eddie Murphy is just really funny. And on that, I think we should probably turn next to our favourite moments, and let's go back to Adam.
I'm going to say I love anything right at the start with Inspector Todd. I'm thinking about his performance throughout the whole series, but this one obviously is the introduction. I just love his portrayal as the hard-ass, fast-talking inspector / captain. And I just love all that. He's just a great character, and he's my next favorite character to Foley. I think.
He's a real police chief in Detroit at the time. He was.
Oh, was he?
And he later became the mayor. Yeah, or mayor.
Gilbert Hill.
Gil Hill, yeah.
Brilliant. Really, I just thought he's just brilliant, but I think they utilize him again better in the sequel. So
yeah, I think it's really good because he's the archetypal, hard-ass police chief. I don't want any more of your crap kind of thing.
Yeah.
But to juxtapose that with Bogomil, who is, really rooting for Foley and very polite and everything, I thought that was really clever. And then back to Ben. Favourite moment from you?
My absolute favourite moment was in the strip club, and it's Eddie Murphy's performance in there, because he's talking and the whole time he's dancing, and he
Yeah.
doesn't stop even when the crooks come in. He keeps on dancing. It's just it's so consistent. It's amazing.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah, that whole sequence is really cool. There's decent action when he disarms those guys, and just him. He again, like, he doesn't condescend to Taggart. He's like, what do you think? What's going on over there? And he knows that Taggart's like the older, more experienced of the Beverly Hills police, and just wants to kind of remind them like what the job can be. So yeah, that's a really nice scene.
It also sets up the lie that comes back later. They're all supporting each other.
Yeah,
kind of highlights that character arc for the two detectives.
yeah, totally. It's a bit of a conceit that two guys would take shotguns to rob a strip club of all places. I mean, we robbing loads of $1 bills.
Easiest to spend, isn't it?
Yeah. That's it.
I've been to that police station, by the way. It's the real Beverly Hills police station.
They weren't allowed to use it in the movie, so they had to recreate it in a studio.
The outdoor shop.
Yeah, but apparently inside it looks exactly like it does in the movie, but they weren't allowed to use the real place.
Oh, really?
They had to recreate it. Yeah. The best. Was there any part of the film that you didn't loathe when you were slogging your way through it on the third watch?
Well, I may have told a slight porky previously where I said I didn't do an LOL. I did do one, whether it's intentional or not, I'm not sure. The first time that Axel goes to confront Victor, and he's being forcefully ejected from the building, and they throw him through a plate glass window, but the method that they do so is like how parents would throw a child into a swimming pool, swinging him from side to side, yet he is ejected through that plate glass window with the force of a fucking bullet train. It's like, Jesus Christ, how did they manage that?
4 big strong guys.
Yeah, burly guys. You know how that goes.
Sideways? Come on.
Well, we all know 4 guys is equal to 1 bullet train. Yeah.
As the old saying goes.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So the best. Did you not even enjoy Victor Maitland's shiny silver gi?
Don't remember.
I can imagine you having one of those.
He's sitting at his desk, and Axel Foley comes in for the first time. He's got this like kind of judo gi on, but it's like a fine, silky, silvery material.
Huh.
That shows class. You know this guy's rich.
Maybe I would have, had I seen it.
Yeah.
On the subject of those henchmen, why don't they do like sort of loads of henchmen now that are still like middle-aged and out of shape, but once they all team up together, kick the shit out of anybody?
That should be a film on its own.
Yeah, they should have like these middle-aged bad guys in a film.
It's like a reverse Expendables, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah.
Except the Expendables, they all seem kind of tough and in good shape, but these guys shouldn't be.
No, they should be middle-aged, out like the fat cops on the Fast Show.
Yeah. Kevin James, Adam Sandler.
Yeah. John Goodman, but you have to get him to put his weight back on.
Steve Buscemi.
Paul Waterhauser. He's a big
The
fella.
corpse of Chris Farley.
Jesus.
Thinner than he used to be, though, of course.
Now the worms have got to him.
Well, as for me, my favourite sequence has always been, and I'm sure will always be, the Late Supper and the banana in the tailpipe.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's genius and it's funny. The whole of it, like the calling room service, what he orders for them, I just find really funny. The shrimp salad sandwich, and then the fact that Rosewood eats it, and then he puts the bananas of all things in the tailpipe. Apparently, in the script, it was potatoes, and he was going to go in the kitchen to get potatoes, but it was his idea to put one of the Wayans brothers.
Yeah, who's the guy dishing out the fruit.
Yeah,
You can just take him.
You take these bananas.
It's so good.
If we move into our favourite lines, that's mine. Go ahead, you take those bananas.
Great.
All right, so favourite lines. This time, let's start with the best. If you, and I don't want to put words in your mouth here, but I'm starting to get the sense you probably didn't watch this too carefully.
Well, I didn't, because as I say, I watched it in 3 sessions.
We can't be two things.
It's likely that some sessions held my attention faster than others. that were looser.
Mm.
So I haven't got a favourite line, but what I would like to add is that I really like the painting in Jenny's office with the deep red background and the black figures in the foreground. It's a very nice painting.
Yeah, that is pretty funny.
Mm.
All right then. No favourite lines from the best, the best, the best. Not a one.
Is that a first? Has that ever been done?
Yeah, I think that's never been done before.
No.
But if anyone was going to do it,
Turner's had a few where he hasn't had a favourite line. Definitely.
Yeah, that's probably true. Even some of the films I've liked, and I can't. I've just been too enthralled by the film that I've not bothered writing them down and gone, oh
it's
shit.
been a while probably.
Yeah.
I think maybe
Yeah,
when
enough.
we did Metropolis, none of us had a favourite line from Metropolis.
Or the old Buster Keaton film there.
Yeah.
Favourite place card.
Do you remember when we did Unchained Andalusia? No one had a favourite line in that one either.
No, well, it's difficult to pick, isn't it? Yeah.
Who was the villain in that again?
eyeball?
Salvador
Or the
Dali, I think.
All right, let's go next with Adam.
Well, I always liked in this film the banter between Taggart and Rosewood. So it's one of those, and I'm going to go for they just sat outside. I think they're waiting outside the hotel. The end for Foley. Rosewood says to Taggart, "I've noticed you've been drinking a lot of coffee recently. I think that's why you can't relax." And it's just one of those throwaway lines. If you're not really paying attention, you wouldn't give it it's the credit it deserves. But the relationship them two have, Taggart constantly trying to mother him, but it's obviously Billy the other way around as well, just worrying about him because he's like his dad or something.
Just to add on to that, I think Judge Reinhold, he is excellent at that kind of. He kind of underplays lines and he plays a little bit naive.
Yeah.
But everything's really intentional. I think he's great.
Yeah.
My favourite line is an interaction between Axel Foley and the police chief in Detroit. Axel Foley says, "You want to hear my side of the story?" And the chief says, "What's your side of the story?" There's a beat, and Axel Foley says, "Let's hear your side of the story." He's got nothing. It was masterful. The timing was absolutely perfect.
Yeah. A couple of other ones between Rosewood and Taggart. There's the one where he says to him about how the average American dies with 5 pounds of undigested red meat in his bowel.
Yeah. Yes.
I've always remembered that, and I think about it all the time. But my favourite one of theirs is when they're at the shootout at the mansion grounds at the end, and he says to him, he keeps thinking about the end of Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, which is they get shot to death.
Yeah, they get killed.
Another line I think is really funny, right? Really close to the start is when he's pretending to be a peddler of stolen cigarettes, and he says to the guy, "This is a popular cigarette with children."
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's loads of great lines in this. Honestly,
you could throw a dart at the script, I think. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Honestly, genuinely surprised that the best didn't have one. Anybody want to say anything else about the film?
Oh, I got one.
Yeah.
You know when they're outside Maitland's house for the first time?
Yeah.
Did anyone spot the DeLorean in the background?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I saw it, yeah.
Cheeky little DeLorean.
Yeah.
One other thing I'd say about it is we've talked a lot about kind of the larger supporting roles, but I think the other unsung heroes are Jenny. I think that she's brilliant, and I've never seen her in anything else, and I kind of looked her up and don't think she's been in anything else I would have seen, but I think she's so good in this.
I think I heard it took so long in hair and makeup just to get the volume in that hair that she never wore it again.
Yeah. VO5 ran out of hairspray that week when they were filming. Yeah.
They had to use the jet propulsion system on a MiG-5 to get that lift.
And then the other one is just the guy who plays Mikey Tandino, because obviously the slim plot, it hangs on the fact that you believe that they are old friends and that Axel would go to those lengths to avenge him. And I just feel like when they're in a scene together, they just feel like genuine old friends to me. So good job by that guy.
Is this the most famous TV edit film, do you think? Because I remember the shooting in the head of Mikey being cut out on ITV, and also famously the word motherfucker being changed to melon farmer. which is quite a famous thing, isn't it?
Oh, wow.
I thought that
There
was Die Hard,
loads.
Melon Farmer.
Die Hard was Yippee-ki-yay
definitely this as
Kimasabi,
well.
and even on Predator there was overdubs on that as well.
Predator TV, I remember not seeing Blaine's chest cavity.
Yeah, explode. Yeah.
How can you remember not seeing something?
Because when I what I mean is
When
when
you
I did
first
see
see
it,
it's shocking.
I was like, oh shit! Like Ghostbusters, the first time I watched Ghostbusters on VHS, and it had swears in it. I was like, what?
Ooh, swears, no, my ears.
I was pleased, obviously. Now, before we get to the competition round, if you're new to the podcast and you're enjoying it, please like, rate, review, and subscribe wherever you can, but especially Apple. Apple is the Beverly Hills of podcast platforms, and Diabolical is a beat-up blue Chevy Nova. Basically, if we're going to blend in there, we need you to help us convince the stiffs at the country club that we drive the red Mercedes we're posing on the hood of in all our promo pictures. Interesting thing about the Beverly Hills Cop VHS cover / poster. He's sitting on Jenny's car. What's that about?
Just trying to make him look as cool as possible to draw in the yuppie crowd with their big money for the box office.
How ironic.
And their phones in their briefcases and all that shit.
Yeah.
Imagine going into the cinema and getting sat behind someone with Jenny's hair. You'd be fuming, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Just do the little spinny bit on the lighter and it'll go up instantly. There you go.
Yeah.
Tip your Coke over it to put it out once it's sufficiently burnt down there. You've got to be polite, haven't you? Manners, everybody.
Good Lord. In Beverly Hills Cop, primary antagonist Victor Maitland uses his art gallery as a front to import shipments of illegal drugs, packed in cases of coffee grounds to throw off sniffer dogs and bypassing regular customs routes. When one of his associates, Michael Tandino, steals German bearer bonds from Maitland and returns to his hometown of Detroit, Maitland orders his execution at the hand of his right-hand man, Zack, who makes the mistake of perpetrating the crime in front of Tandino's childhood friend, Axel Foley, unknown to Zack as a Detroit police detective, whom he leaves unharmed at the scene of the crime. Ultimately, Maitland is foiled when Foley investigates his criminal activities against orders and outside of his jurisdiction, winning over and enlisting the aid of the Beverly Hills Police Department officers tasked with escorting him out of town, who risk their jobs to conduct an unsanctioned raid on Maitland's estate when Detective Rosewood witnesses his goons kidnapping Maitland's employee Jenny Summers, a mutual friend of murder victim Mikey. But how did the panel of peril rate Victor's diabolical scheme? Was it a good concept? And how well was it pulled off? And just to get it out of the way, really, let's just start with the best. Did you remember what it was?
Yeah. You just said, didn't you? You've reminded me.
Yeah.
He's been getting away with it, and the police department, by virtue of Lieutenant Bergamo, want to play everything by the book, seemed up until Axel's arrival to be quite happy to let them get away with it. They may suspect that he's not on the level, but he's a successful businessman, and in Beverly Hills, that means you don't touch him up until that point. It's just the murder of Mikey and the happenstance of him being mates with another cop in Detroit that is their downfall. So, on that basis, the original plan's good, but the Mike Ehrmantraut henchman being so trigger happy and footloose and fancy free makes it a bad plan. Sloppy, I would say.
Maybe if he was more trigger happy and he killed Axel as well.
Mm-hmm. True. Mm-hmm. Yeah, true. He does say to him, doesn't he? My mistake was letting you live.
Yeah.
Well done. You remembered some of the film.
Yeah. People said I couldn't do it. They were wrong. By people, I mean Craig.
People have been writing you off your whole life.
I'm going to have to think about... It's going to be tricky to decide now, so maybe I won't decide yet, but I'm going to think about which one of your films I ignore and give short shrift to.
I didn't ignore it.
Okay, let's go next to Adam.
Mine are all killer, no filler, unignorable.
Yeah, the best summed it up there when he said it was the guy's mistake for not killing Foley. Sure, that was the whole undoing, wasn't it? It was that couple of seconds where he just put...
Yeah, it was me that said
Bullet
that.
in the back of his head. Oh, was it? Sorry.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's a good point.
The best, the handsome beast.
Yeah, he made a
Yeah,
great
he
point.
actually quoted the line, so that was good.
All right, let's go to Ben for the Broccoli's.
Well, I'm in agreement. I think Maitland was a very rich man at the beginning of the film and throughout, which means it's been working very well for him. You might question why, if he's a successful art dealer, he needs the drug part of it anyway. I don't know. Greed, I suppose, is the motive, but we never really learn it. I don't think not killing Axel Foley was his mistake, was it? So it's hard to say that he's made the error there. It was made by his henchman. I think the error he makes is later, not dealing with Foley in a more aggressive way. So I'm going to give him, for his initial plan and becoming a very, very rich man, I'm going to give him some florets. And then for not dealing with Axel Foley properly when he had the chance, I'm going to minus some florets. So he's going to have 11 florets from me when all is said and done.
Decent tally. I mean, you got to think about the difference between responsibility and accountability here. So, yes, technically, Zack, Mike Ehrmantraut, is responsible for not killing Axel Foley, but Maitland hired him and made him his right-hand man. So he's really accountable for his actions. So it all comes back. You can't, as a manager, shirk off when one of your underlings fucks up. That's the bottom line.
You're saying you're not allowed to shirk off your underlings? Is that the message I should be taking?
That's what I'm saying, yeah. So, like, he shouldn't have to middle manage it. Like, he should have a guy in Zack's position that he can trust implicitly and not have to say, I want you to kill Michael Tandino and make sure you don't leave any witnesses. It should just be implied, right?
Yeah, go without saying. Don't leave witnesses. Every time. I don't want to say it every time, just every time.
I like that you've taken the first plunge into a Maitland impression there, because it might be coming up later as well for me.
Foley. Excuse me, Foley.
Hello, Foley. I've got a prawn in my mouth. Wait a minute. There we go. I'm fine now.
Yeah, I'd largely agree. Although I think he probably needed the coke money to buy art, because art's expensive. Once you've bought the art, you can then sell the art for money, but you need money to buy the art in the first place. And I think his real mistake here is not reacting when Foley shows up. If we say that the status quo is, the movie starts how it starts, we can't do anything about that, but everything that he does from there on, we can control, then you'll see why my plan is better than his plan, which is the name of the game. So what do we think of Victor Maitland as a villain and Stephen Berkoff's portrayal while we're on him? And henchman Jonathan Banks. Are we fans of them generally? And let's go first to Turner.
Well, I really liked Stephen Berkoff as Maitland. I thought he was the archetypal villain, and he looked like it as well. If you walked in his office straight away, you'd be like, this guy's a shit.
He's got a great face, hasn't he?
Yeah, this guy, you don't want to ask to borrow, a quid off him for the vending machine or anything, because there's no chance you're getting it. So it kind of got me thinking, as in an 80s villain lineup. So you got Victor Maitland, Hans Gruber, Roy Batty, and Gordon Gekko. So they're all standing there in front of you, all looking at you. And
which one do you have sex with first?
Yeah, exactly.
Why choose?
Yeah, fuck, marry, kill. Yeah.
You're saying you can handle all four of them guys at once? Is that what you're trying to imply here?
I'm saying let them try. I'm just saying let them try.
Hey,
see what happens.
Nonsense. Yeah. I'd love to see it happen. But...
I told you I go with the flow. I'm not making choices. I'm just inviting them all on.
Say that.
I just present myself, and whatever happens.
But no, I just thought as a lineup out of them, I was like, yeah, I think I'd probably choose Victor Maitland as the most evil looking.
Yeah, he definitely looks the most.
He's great. Yeah, he turns it up to 11. I think he's a really good buddy.
Michael Douglas does a good evil stare, but at a face value, you wouldn't think, oh, there's an evil guy.
No,
and you know that deep down he just wants to make love to you anyway. He puts out that vibe.
He's addicted to it, isn't he? He's a bloody addict.
Very sexually frustrated.
What about you, the best? Do you think Stephen Berkoff makes for a good villain?
Yeah, he's quite good. He's got mad eyes, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I just can't take him seriously because of his appearance on Brass Eye. All I can think about constantly is him smashing a couple of cows up and saying, "That could be your mother." A crab.
Ben, you a fan of Stephen Berkoff?
I think he's all right. I think he does his job well enough, but I think it's Jonathan Banks that brings the menace.
Yeah, I think his mystique is utterly ruined though at the country club when he gets cream on his face.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
so good. You can see the seething anger. It's,
Yeah.
it's beautifully played.
Just hitting him
Yeah, I love
wouldn't have
that.
been the same, but the fact that
No.
he gets cream
Yeah.
on his face
It makes him look an
absolutely ruins
absolute
him.
idiot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So easily as well, just flips
Yeah.
him. It's brilliant.
This is the part of the show where the panel of peril compete for the title of Season 5's Most Diabolical. Up for grabs is 1 point for each vote, which will go towards the series leaderboard. Victor Maitland tried to hide his criminal activities from the Beverly Hills Police Department by hiding his drugs in cases of coffee, killing and kidnapping friends of Detroit super cop Axel Foley, and having Foley variously thrown through plate glass and arrested. But what would you have done differently? Let's start with Ben.
Victor Maitland tires of the thorn in his side, Axel Foley. So he concocts a plan, both elaborate and extravagant, befitting a man of his considerable means. A showcase of the finest modern art set against the backdrop of his illustrious Beverly Hills gallery. He knows Axel Foley is too Axel nosy not to crash the party. The gala night arrives. The who's who of Beverly Hills swirls around the gallery. Corey Feldman is tonsils deep in a cream puff. Phoebe Cates is squatting near the fire exit, rolling herself a cigarette from her weather-beaten tobacco pouch. Lycra enthusiast Richard Simmons is yelling at several patrons, commanding they watch his calves undulate as he lunges with hitherto unseen gusto. Unbeknown to these glittering stars, however, Maitland has filled the gallery with a Rube Goldberg machine of fake art designed to entrap fish out of water Foley. When the detective enters the gallery right on cue, a grimy smirk creeps across Maitland's face. His bumpy face. He approaches Foley and asks him what he's doing at the gallery. After some verbal sparring, he gives in and tells Foley he'll talk, as he doesn't want to cause a scene. He suggests they take a seat and leads Foley over to a sofa. To Foley's uncultured eyes, it looks like an ordinary sofa, albeit a stylish one. But as he takes a seat, the sofa shatters under him, sending shards of glass tinkling across the marble floor and setting off a series of artful disasters. Foley tumbles backward into a tall pedestal placed conveniently behind him. It wobbles precariously before surrendering its load, a metallic sphere perched atop. The sphere bounces to the ground and rolls with increasing momentum toward a tableau of brightly dressed mannequins doing the conga. The mannequins fall one by one until the final one hits the ground, sending its head rolling toward a collection of 12 artisanal dildos arranged in bowling pin formation. As the crystal wieners hit the deck, they domino into yet more artwork, which dominoes into yet more artwork until every piece in the gallery is lying on the ground in bits. Maitland feigns horror and despair at the destruction of his priceless collection. With dramatic flair, he calls the police, accusing Foley of willful vandalism. The guests look on in shock as Foley tries to wriggle out of trouble, insisting the whole thing was a setup. "Fuck off!" shouts a belligerent Molly Ringwald. The police have no choice but to handcuff Foley and lead him away and out of Beverly Hills for good.
So what's the charge? Willful destruction of property?
Yeah, vandalism. He's just ruined a priceless...
Bunch of crystal dildos.
Crystal wieners.
There's a lot of ducks to get in a row there, quite literally, though, isn't there?
Yeah, it's a Rube Goldberg machine.
I don't know what that is.
You know where you've got like dominoes that fall into a ball that rolls down, sets off a fan that knocks that
So
blows
the whole
over.
gallery is that? Is it? Okay.
Yeah, he set the whole gallery up as one of those Rube Goldberg machines.
Okay. what happens if somebody was like, halfway through it, somebody just like dropped a drink or something, and it started off the thing like 3/4 of the way through it, and then ended some of it, and it was like somebody else's fault.
Yeah, that would have been a disaster, but fortunately that didn't happen if you heard the story. So.
The fates were smiling upon the baddie.
Okay, that's all tied up in a neat little bow. No further questions.
There's one obvious question. So you said that all the elite of Beverly Hills were there.
Yeah.
Where were the Beverly Hillbillies during this?
Oh, fucking hell, yeah.
They got the invite, but they were still on the way because their little
The car
open
broke
top
down.
car broke down on the way.
Right, okay.
Ma was changing the tyre for a cartwheel or whatever she does.
All right, fair enough.
And stop for a hoedown.
That was the obvious question, though, so thanks for asking.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
As a little bonus, would Victor have insured all this fake artwork for a high sum and claim the insurance money? Do you think?
Oh, yeah, you can be sure of that.
Yeah.
Clever
The whole gallery's insured up the arse anyway.
Oh,
Out the was.
pants the dildos.
Up the was. In the was.
Yeah.
One of those.
Well then, next, let's hear from Adam.
Yes, Mr. Foley, come in. We're as shocked as you to hear about Mikey, says Maitland to Foley when Axel first tells him about Mikey's death. Although, I must say, I'm very glad you're here. You've arrived just in time. What on earth does he mean, thinks Foley. Victor explains that he is being blackmailed by someone who is claiming to be a government customs official, a corrupt official who knows what Maitland is up to. Bearer bonds were a way in which Victor was being paid, and he tells Axel that he suspects this official has stolen them to use them as evidence against him unless he keeps paying him bribes. Axel mentions nothing about Mikey having any bonds on him when he was killed. Victor tells Axel, very convincingly, that he's not up to nothing other than arranging for extremely expensive works of art to pass through customs more quickly so he gets paid faster for express delivery. Something which he knows is illegal but makes him a richer man. Victor pleads individuals evade taxes through illicit means, exploiting loopholes, offshore accounts and shell companies. They may engage in underreporting income, inflating deductions or utilizing tax havens. Such practices are widely considered morally wrong. Does that make them criminals? Should Victor be classed as a criminal for paying a few small bribes? What's the fucking difference? As Axel stares into Maitland's cold, dead eyes, he knows he can't stay mad at him for long. He tells Victor he's been very naughty, but agrees to help Maitland nail this shit for extorting him and killing his friend. Victor tells Axel that they're just about to deliver a bribe to the crook, and that perhaps Axel can deliver for him as a new member of his crew and take him down. Victor hands Axel a bottle full of 1,000 brown M&Ms and tells him to follow his employees down to the warehouse immediately. Once inside the warehouse, Axel is shot to bits by the out-of-shape middle-aged henchman and packed into lots of boxes and shipped out of the area in Maitland's slick smuggling operation / cartel to be disposed of in whatever means he deems appropriate. Ha 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 ha, says Maitland when he finds out Foley is dead. Beverly Hills Police Department just think Axel has left and are not arsed at all. They're just not arsed.
So, in essence, he tricks Axel into thinking he's the good guy so they'll work together. But then when he's in that false sense of security, he kills him.
Yeah. He just thinks on his feet straight away. As soon as he walks in, he's like, this guy's trouble. Let's get rid of him.
Okay.
My favourite line in that is that Maitland says, "I'm not doing nothing."
Very convincingly tells him that. Very convincingly.
I'm not doing nothing.
I thought you were going to say your favourite line was that the Beverly Hills Police Department just doesn't give a shit.
They're not arsed. They're really
not
arsed.
They're not arsed. So
that's excellent too.
I buy that. But what about your favourite character, Inspector Todd?
Yeah.
Would he not be looking for Axel?
He just thinks he's gone missing on the way home. And just like, oh, that Axel.
Well, that is like Axel. Waka waka waka.
And then Iris in. All right. Well then, let's see if the best has written a better plan than the screenplay for Beverly Hills Cop, which he so loathes.
Well,
I haven't. Just to preface, I know I'm not getting any votes this week, so just enjoy it for what it is, okay? Just enjoy it.
The other two might vote for you.
The warehouse near the end of the film. Victor has taken Jenny out of the equation, as in the film, meaning out of the warehouse. Axel is being held steady by goons who occasionally punch him in the stomach and that. Victor gets his bum out. Ooh, ah! Look at my bum, look at my bum. Would you look at my bum, ah! He shouts as he waddles slowly backwards, pants around his ankles, flashing his camp English bum. A fanciful notion, to be sure, but beyond the realm of possibility? Axel laughs at him. Then Victor turns around to face Foley head on and shakes from side to side in the manner of Chubby Checkers the Twist. Look at my willy wobble!
Oh, here he goes. He's going.
It's silly, isn't it?
I'm surprised you got that out, to be fair.
Look at my willy wobble! Look at it go! Yee-haw! Willy, 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 willy. He intones most enthusiastically. Is that any more a fanciful notion? Any less plausible than the last? Axel laughs at him once more. What a master of misdirection he is, our Victor. Because whilst this is happening, his henchmen, including Mike Ehrmantraut, are replacing the coffee beans that encase the cocaine and bearer bonds with bratwurst sausages. This will literally throw both Axel and the sniffer dogs off the scent of the delicious drugs. When Lieutenant Bogomil questions this switch at a later time, could be an hour later, could be a week, he really gives a fuck, Victor can simply Mandela affect him. It will have to be called something else, as Nelson Mandela wasn't released from prison until 1990, and it would be a couple of decades before some stupid fucking idiot thought they remembered him dying in prison. But I digress. Mandela affect Lieutenant Bergamot about the coffee/cocaine/bearer bonds/German sausages, and that's sorted. Then Victor turns back around the other way. It's my bum again! It's my bum again! Oh dear lordy me, I've got my bum out again! It's magical! It's magical! He trills, putting on quite the show. Peacocking, if anything, isn't he? But when you've got his kind of bank, you can literally afford to do so, I suppose. I wouldn't. I wouldn't really know. Finally, pulling his trousers up, tucking his widge away safely, and his bum, naturally.
His witch. I haven't heard it called that for any long time.
So I was thinking...
Oh, Craig, I'm glad I'm not following this.
Victor nails the coup de grace. Unbeknownst to us, Victor's tomfoolery has served a purpose. He has had tabs on Foley since having him thrown gently... This isn't even funny. It's just set me off for some reason. He's had tabs on Foley since having him thrown gently through a window upon his arrival in B Hills. He knows that Tackleberry and Wormwood are problems, and so he has had an assassin tackle the former at HQ by poisoning his coffee and donuts. He's gone, his face turned a startling shade of purple, tongue pushed out as far as it can. Next, after the confirmation of his death is given, by a beeper, naturally, they simply have Axel and Judge Reinhold shot to death, much like Victor is shot to death in the film, with gusto. If Lieutenant Baggy Pill continues his investigation afterwards, simply remind him how rich and white you are, safe in the knowledge that you're pretty much bulletproof thanks to those two facts.
Oh, fuck me. Oh, God, that's over.
I have no idea what happened there apart from the indecent exposure.
I was going to say, can you sum it up?
Yeah. Please give us a synopsis.
I know there were sausages involved, and then we
Yeah.
kind of we time slipped into the future, but then it went back to
Willies,
Maitland's
buns
arse.
There was a reason I did the sausages, and I forgot what it was, but I thought, I'll just leave it in. It'll be all right.
It was to throw the sniffer dogs off the
Yeah.
scent that the coffee grounds were already doing, but he just decided to replace them anyway for
Yes,
something that the
but-
dogs would like even more.
Yeah, but it would be a less common means of doing so. So Foley wouldn't have clocked during his initial scout.
But
when
he's
he
already
sees
clocked
coffee
at this
grounds.
point.
Well, he'd be like,
He's already in
"Sausages, that's
the
weird."
he's in the warehouse.
But he wouldn't be able to convince Bergamo that they're packing it with sausages. He'd be like, "What do you mean? They normally do it with coffee beans. Why would they be doing it with sausages?" And he'd be like,
Oh right, so
Yeah.
he just stuffed it with sausage. No, but wait, what? Because
"Don't think
Wouldn't
about
the
it
dogs
too hard."
want to find it if there was sausages?
Foley goes into the warehouse twice, right? The first time he finds
Yeah.
the drugs.
Yeah, and the coffee grounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, just the coffee grounds maybe first. He
Just
doesn't find
first
the
time
drugs.
coffee grinds, and the second
Yeah.
times it's the coke. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then the second time, that's when Maitland does his dance and distracts
Yeah.
Foley. Well, the
Right.
henchman replace it with sausages.
No, they've already replaced it with sausages
Fucking
because
hell.
they know that Foley's onto them. So they've said, okay, everybody knows
Right, okay.
why you put coffee grounds in these things. Switch it out for sausages. Then when the sniffer dogs
Right.
go mad, everybody like, it's because there's sausages in there. Dogs bloody
Yeah.
love sausages. Everybody knows this, particularly German bratwurst. So, you know, you got to think
Yeah.
outside the box for what's inside the box. German sausage.
Yeah, works out beautifully.
Yeah, it does.
I reckon imported German bratwurst going to eat into your margins though.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know. It depends how fine the coffee is. Get some expensive coffee
Mm.
beans, don't you?
True.
When Jenny goes shopping, she buys the cheap shit. But when Victor goes shopping, he buys the gourmet expensive stuff.
Gold blend.
That's right. Well, does anybody have any more questions for the best before I bring us home?
I think I understand his plan about as much as I'm going to at this point.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you're never going to believe this. Shortly after having Axel Foley defenestrated, Victor Maitland muses that this detective is not to be underestimated. As a man of some cunning who hides his criminal enterprise behind a veneer of respectability and who literally hides his drugs inside cases of coffee, he understands very well that one should not judge a book by its cover. Foley may look like a hoodlum in his jeans and tracksuit top, but he found his way to Victor's office and walked right in, asking about Michael Tandino. Victor knows that Jenny Summers was a friend of Mikey and can therefore deduce that she is a friend of Foley's, who could grant him access to Victor's warehouses. Victor flashes a withering look towards his henchman Zack and says, "All this for a few Deutschmarks. We should have let it go. There's always money in the hot dog stand." Victor gives the order to wind down operations on the drug smuggling temporarily. After all, he's already an obscenely wealthy man, making huge art deals regularly. And so it is that when Foley gets into Victor's warehouse and crowbars open a crate, he doesn't find what he expects to inside. Instead of coffee grounds, the crate is full of wieners.
Oh my
Holy
goodness!
mackerel.
Wow.
Wieners? Asks Jenny. I don't get it. These would attract sniffer dogs. Sure enough, as Axel plunges his hands into the smooth, rubbery sausage pile, he finds no packets of drugs, only bags of sliced buns. A frustrated Foley tracks down Maitland, who explains that he owns a hot dog stand near the beach, which he is happy to show Foley. "Why would I need to deal drugs?" he says. "There's always money in the hot dog stand." Foley sees Zack peddling the dogs to hungry children. With nothing tying Victor to criminal activity, the local PD will run out of patience with Axel soon, so he shoots Zack, covering the hot dogs in ketchup. Satisfied he has avenged Mikey as best he could. Fired and arrested, Foley is taken away to jail, while Victor takes an axe to the wooden walls of his hot dog stand, revealing the bearer bonds hidden within its cavity.
Ooh.
Who'd have thought we'd both do hot
Come
dog
up with-
sausages?
Batshit
Pretty
crazy
weird,
plans
isn't it?
about sausages. Yeah.
I think we both had the same idea, which is if sniffer dogs don't smell drugs when there's coffee around, what would sniffer dogs love to sniff? Yeah. Some sausages.
Indubitably. When Victor repeats the refrain, "There's always money in the hot dog stand," does he wink as well? In a little click. with
To
his
the
tongue?
audience, but not to Foley.
Okay.
And he says to the audience, "Have you seen Arrested Development?" "Oh, no, you haven't, because it's not going to be on telly for a long time."
But I think you and the best had opposite reasons for including the sisters.
Potentially.
The best wanted to throw the dogs off a scent by putting something they love in the drug boxes.
Whereas I wanted to throw Axel and Jenny off the scent by having them
Right.
confused. Why would you put something in a
Exactly.
shipment of drugs that dogs love? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is the hot dog stand shaped like a hot dog?
Yes.
Good.
And if you can picture it,
Nice.
Jonathan Banks wearing a little hot dog shaped hat as well, as he gets shot to death with his blood spraying all over the children and their hot dogs.
How does Axel know Zack's killed Mikey?
Yeah, I was wondering that.
Because he was with him at the start.
Yeah, but he gets
Yeah, but he
clobbered
doesn't
over
see,
the
does
head.
he? Yeah.
Nah, he knows. He knows enough.
He only knows Zack because Zack
Tap
later
the
tells
nose.
him,
He
doesn't
knows enough.
Well, he's smart enough to put two and two together in the film, isn't he? By the time he kills him, he knows that he's the guy who did it. So he's been in Maitland's office. He's seen his right-hand man. He's seen Maitland's manicured nails. Knows he's never been to Detroit.
Because the second you step foot in Detroit, your nails go to shit.
Some shit-pipingly diabolical schemes there. We'll get the votes. First of all, we had Ben's Heath Robinson squash, which will mean nothing to you unless you know that the British name for a Rube Goldberg device is a Heath Robinson device. Did you know that,
No.
listeners? Now you do.
I love the way that you've had to basically explain your summary as well.
Then we had Turner's Shoot 'em Up, Ship 'em Off, which involved shooting Foley to bits and then shipping the bits of him in containers. Then we had the best Switch Wave Switcheroo, which involved showing Foley his penis and bottom.
I don't think you
until he
need to
got
explain which
distracted.
wave switcheroo. I think that says it all.
Even people who haven't heard it have probably guessed what happened. And finally, we had my hot dog hoodwink Deutschmark Ding Dong. So let's hear first from Adam. Who have you voted for?
Personally, I'm not keen on the idea of having two sausage plans in one day.
Yeah.
It's a lot of sausage.
It's a lot of sausage.
Lucky for you, only have to vote for one of these plans.
Yeah. Well, amongst the tears and laughter, there was a plan buried there, so I've gone with the best.
All right, and the best. Who have you voted for?
I went for my long-term wiener bro, Craig. Wiener bros for life.
All right. And Craig, who did you vote for? Well, it's going round the horn, this wave of love, because I have voted for Ben. And Ben, who have you voted for?
I'm loath to say it, but the word "widge" made me laugh so hard. I have voted for the best.
All right, and the best. What has that done to the season 5 leaderboard?
Well, I think the positions are the same, but the scores have changed. So, remaining in first place with 8 points is Ben. In second place with 6 points is Adam. And, now, in joint third/fourth place with 5 points apiece is myself and Craig.
The Wiener Bros.
Indeed. For life.
Next week, Ben will be hosting What Diabolical Delights will he be asking us to add our special sauce to?
Well, friends, next week we will be watching another 80s film, a comedy classic known as The Naked Gun from the Files of Police Squad.
And that wraps up this episode like a Beverly Palm hotel bathrobe. Thank you for listening, and if you're just burning doing the Neutron dance, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, and leave us a review on the very platform on which you're currently listening. You can follow us on social mediums at Diabolical Pod. Next week, we'll be competing to improve on the diabolical plot of Vincent Ludwig in Naked Gun. Until then, remember, the Super Cop story is working.
Do 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 do.
Ding, ding.
Fuck me. Oh God, that's over.